welcome back. We are in a new topic. This is distribution of natural resources, and we are on the first lesson of that topic, non-renewable energy. Okay, so let's get started. So before we know about the distribution of natural resources, we obviously have to know what a natural resource is. We already talked about this in class, but natural resource is anything naturally occurring in the environment that we as humans use on our daily basis. So that could be air to breathe, the water we drink, the soil that we use to grow crops, the food. All of these things are natural resources for us. Okay, and there's two types. There's renewable and there's non-renewable. Renewable is unlimited, so it could be reused or replenished. That could be, again, the food we eat. That could also be the energy we get from the sun. That is unlimited. And another example is lumber. So although it takes a while for trees to replenish, we can actually replenish them and reuse them. So that would be a renewable resource. A non-renewable resource cannot be replaced. There's a set amount and we cannot make more. Or it takes a very long time to form. So that could be fossil fuels, which we'll get into, or it could be minerals like silver and gold. All of these things are either finite amounts or it takes a very, very, very long time to form. Okay. So what is a fossil fuel? I just talked about it. What is it? A fossil fuel is an energy-rich substance that forms from the preserved remains of organisms. So each type, there's coal, there's petroleum or oil, and there's natural gas. Depends on how it's preserved and formed, or what type of organism is decayed in there. And that could be converted into energy for us to use by burning them. Okay, so how do we make a fossil fuel? First, we need energy from sunlight, right? That's the primary source of energy we use on Earth. Okay, and then the plants make glucose through photosynthesis. We knew this, and then we get carbon from animals, and then these animals or plants decompose, and then after a long time, lots of heat and a lot of pressure over time forms these energy-filled substances. So coal, oil, which is petroleum, or gas. So that's how we make a fossil fuel. So first let's talk about coal. Coal is formed from the remains of plants that died long ago near swampy areas. So there's many types. First is peat. Peat's the first to form. That's soft, it's brown, and it's partially decayed plant material. So you can still see the plants, right? They're partially decayed. And the more and more pressure and the more heat is applied, peat changes into brown, soft coal, which we see as lignite. And then more heat and more pressure on that lignite turns that into soft black coal. And then more pressure and more heat turns into finally hard black coal, which has the most energy. Okay. So what do we need coal for? What do we use it for? This could be a source of energy. We use it for fuel. So we use coal to cook our food out and on the barbecue. And it also produces 30% of electricity on Earth. Okay. We could also use it for water and air purification systems. So this guy over here has a coal filter. I don't know why this GIF is not working, but that coal filter, he puts the Coca-Cola through the coal filter and it actually turns into water. It's filtering out all the other stuff in Coke and leaving the water behind. Okay. Coal can also be used for medical equipment, such as kidney dialysis machines. We make steel and carbon fiber from coal. And coal produces twice as much energy as wood, which is why we use it. But with that comes pollution, which causes millions of deaths each year. And it's not good for our environment, right? burning coal causes that pollution, but also mining the coal and getting the coal is damaging our environment as well. Okay, so the next fossil fuel is oil. It's also called petroleum. So petroleum is a liquid that's formed from the remains of marine algae and other small organisms that get trapped underground with no oxygen. And they're, like coal, subject to high temperatures and pressures. Okay? So wherever we get coal, that means there was water. Okay? Because they are formed from marine algae. So burning oil produces CO2, and it could also be spilled. So there's damaging causes or effects from burning oil. And we get coal from drilling or on wells or getting rigs to get the oil underground. Okay, and the uses for oil, we use oil or gas for our cars. We could also make plastics and lubricants and fertilizers from oil. We can make synthetic fibers such as rayon or nylon, and we could also make cosmetics from oil. A common one is petroleum jelly or Vaseline. That's produced from oil. Okay, so oil again is from the remains of marine algae. Okay. So next, the last natural resource is natural gas. Okay, and it's formed the same way as petroleum or oil. So lots of heat, lots of pressure. It produces less CO2 when it's burned from oil than oil or coal. But it can result in explosions when we're trying to extract that natural gas, and it does contribute to global warming. So how do we extract it? Fracking is used. So the pressured fluids are used to break the rock and force out natural gases, which again is not great for our pollution. It can cause contamination of groundwater. Okay, so there's lots of cons to using natural gas. In this picture here, we could see natural gas formed. This is actually in Buffalo, or around Buffalo. That's called the eternal flame. There we go. And that natural gas is actually methane, and it's creating a fire right there. So it's an energy source. Okay, and then another non-renewable energy source that we have is nuclear energy. Okay, so nuclear energy is stored in the nucleus, or energy is stored in the nucleus of the atom, which is why it's called nuclear energy. And that produces 20% of the electricity in the US. And so how do we get nuclear energy? We use nuclear fission. That's splitting the atom's nucleus and results in a great amount of energy. But it uses mostly uranium, which is found in rocks. Okay, so again, uranium is a finite amount, so there's a set amount of uranium on Earth, which makes it a non-renewable energy source. There are other types of nuclear energy, which are more on the reusable source of energy, but for the nuclear energy that uses uranium, that is non-reusable. Okay, so when we use non-renewable energy sources, there's consequences that occur. So it's estimated that we actually used about half of all non-renewable resources in just a few hundred years. So thinking about how long Earth has been, that is a relatively very short time. Okay, so we're using half of the non-reusable resources, and that's gaining even more over the years. We also contribute a lot of pollution from non-renewable energy resources. So there's more CO2 in the atmosphere than ever before. It's 45% higher than 200 years ago when we weren't using non-renewable resources. Okay, and with the uneven distribution of fossil fuels of coal, oil, and gas, that could cause many problems, making wars and world politics a problem when we use non-renewable energy resources. Okay, so with non-renewable comes pollution, it comes politics, and again, it's finite, so it's not forever. We have to think about how we're using it and when it's going to stop. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new. That was non-renewable energy resources.